Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast, a hybrid structure encompassing health, fitness, self-improvement, and entertainment, where no topic is off limits and all opinions are graciously welcomed.
Let's get on with the show!
And now, here's the host of the show, Mike Sinopoli.
Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast. I am Mike Sinopoli, certified nutrition coach, consultant, counselor, call me whatever you would like. On this episode, I am bringing in a very special guest, a longtime friend, somebody that is instrumental in helping me do what I'm doing today and living out what I believe is my lifetime passion. Her name is MaryAnna Callas. She was my very first client. She gave me a nudge to do this. She basically saw me on Instagram talking about fitness and said, Mike, I will pay you to help me with this stuff. And I was like, pay me. So anyways, she's a lawyer, yoga instructor, longtime friend, overall great person. MaryAnna, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, friend?
Oh, I'm doing well. I'm glad we finally got to do this. I know we tried to do this a while back. Before I had the ability to record and do a podcast. I know we wanted to have this discussion, and we've had many since we've worked together. I believe it's been a couple of years since you were actually a client of mine, but that's okay, because the reason I have you here today and wanted to talk to you, not only is that you were my first client and someone very important, but you've kind of taken this thing the way that I love to see it go. You've started somewhere with confusion, like most people do. They're frustrated. They've been bamboozled by the fitness culture, by diet culture. You came to me, I was able to help you out. We did some things, and now you've been kind of on your own. So why don't we start with just your past a little bit? Like, why don't you just tell us where were you, with diet before you came, and when you messaged me that day, where were you that day? What led up to this point of like, I need to do something different. Nothing's working. Where were you? What was your diet mindset like?
Yeah. And thanks for having me. And I think this is going to be just an incredible experience together, because at the end of the day, we both want to help people, and I want to help people because I was stuck in such a horrible place. So before I even, we went to high school together, right? And then we lose touch. I go into law school. And when I was in law school, I found there was two groups of people that would go to class and then they would leave and go to the bar and get wasted and eat mozzarella sticks. And then there was the group that would hit the gym. And I started going to the gym, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I loved it. But the food department, totally off. So I remember being in the gym, and then I saw this guy, Tommy, great guy. He was from New York. And I said, Tommy, you're fit, you're buff. What do you eat? And so he put me on a meal plan. And I remember my first meal plan in law school, this is back in 2007, was chicken breast, peas, and a little bit of oatmeal. And he told me to do it for 10 weeks, eating the same thing. And then he said, you can switch it with tuna. And then I remember by week 3, I would gag just smelling.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Those are the types of meal plans. And I actually did my last episode on meal plans, pros and cons, and exactly what you're talking about rings true from the episode that I just put out, because meal plans need to be individualized, and we'll get into that later when you continue your story here. Yeah. But that is precisely it. To anybody listening, those types of meal plans that you got from essentially probably a bodybuilder of sorts, that's who goes on those types of things. For me, I like to help people go through their real life a little bit. So there is a little bit of a difference between becoming a bodybuilder and just changing your relationship with food and loving your physique and lifestyle. So I'm happy you did say that. So go ahead and continue. So you're in the gym with this guy, you're starting this awful meal plan, and
okay. And then he tells me, don't drink alcohol. You got to cut everything. You got to start drinking protein shakes. I don't know how many protein shakes. I'm drinking 2 shakes a day. Okay, whatever. I lost 7 pounds. I was miserable. And then, I went and had pizza one night, whatever, and back at it 2 weeks later, I'm back at the weight I was at. So that was, frustrating, but I lost some weight, but I didn't know how to keep it off. I just needed guidance, and I didn't want to pay all this amount. And, then I moved back and I joined Export and I started working out. And I met, I saw these fitness models and they were doing the fitness model shows. And at the time I was prosecuting. So I'm like, God, I can't be seen in a bikini on the stage, but I want to try this fitness model diet and see how, if I can get my body like that with like 6-pack and like just incredible. So I reached out to a woman who is incredible in the industry. She's got a great reputation. And she, in fact, put a diet together for me. And again, it was 16 weeks of me eating chicken breast, rice, and green beans. And by week 10, I literally could not stomach the smell of it. And I did lose weight. I looked buff. I didn't look like a fitness model who, by the end of the run, before you get on stage, you're depleting your body from water and everything like that. I didn't go that route because I thought to me, that's just something that I don't believe in. But okay, then I went to Miami to celebrate, and guess what? I drank, I ate, I came back, and the weight came back on. So again, to your point of like, okay, I was totally QVC about it, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Totally lost. I'm just, trying, I want to look good. I was the type of person, I wake up in the morning and I just like get on the scale. I get on the scale and I hated the scale, and the scale would tell me lies, and, and I would believe these lies, and it just, you spiral. So that was what I was doing before. And then, I met my husband. I was working as a prosecutor. I was meal prepping. I was packing my food. But I didn't like the way I looked. I was frustrated. And because I said, I'm eating healthy, I'm drinking protein shakes, and I'm not seeing the results. And I just kept getting frustrated. So that's been the path before I met you. And by the time I met you, I had given birth to my first child. I had gained 40 pounds. So I was breaking about 200 pounds on the scale. And I gave birth to my first son, and I was miserable. I did not like how I looked. Your hormones get fluctuated. You're just trying to like survive. You know how it is with kids. It's like, especially newborns, like you're sleep deprived, you're agitated, your body aches, you're trying to figure it out. And that's when I was up one night and I was on Instagram, and my child was sleeping next to me, my husband. And all of a sudden I'm on your Instagram and I see your posts, and I see the infamous recreated Taco Bell salad with Doritos on it.
Absolutely delicious.
My favorite, by the way. And I'm like, and then I see the next post you have is a picture of you shirtless, ripped. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, Mike's eating Doritos.
Mm-hmm.
He's eating like Taco Bell stuff recreated, McDonald's, Big Macs recreated in bowls, and
Yes.
he looks like that.
Absolutely. That's the way it goes. And that's really the what you kind of went through right there is the extremes of this diet culture. Now, what happens is that you got the food corporations, you've got our lifestyle, our culture that's everyone's go and fast and quick service and feeding you this crap on one end of the spectrum. And then they're all out for obviously profit as well. And then you've got the diet culture, which is really actually just as bad, in my opinion, who's pushing these crazy diets that are very restrictive, that are obsessed with just dropping weight off of your body on the scale. They want dependency, because what you said before is you went on these trainers' diets who were very boring and very rigid. And what happens is you will get the results. Like you said, you did lose the weight. You did do that. But what happens is when you go off of it is where the frustration comes in, because you don't want to continue eating like that and gagging on tuna and chicken. Right. So exactly. That's exactly how it goes. And then that's what I do with food, because like I've said multiple times, we have to like what we eat in order to keep this thing going. And it has to become a lifelong process. The bodybuilder mindset has a show mindset. They have a physique stage mindset, which is X amount of days to be on stage, to look a certain way, which is not sustainable the way they look. And the realistic expectations are what people need to have. And that's something that maybe you even didn't have at the time. Maybe you were looking at different fitness models who you don't even know what kind of stuff they were putting in their body in addition to what you were doing. You were doing it clean, and they might not be clean. So
yeah, my fitness model that I loved was Amanda Latona. Like
yeah,
I'm like, wow, yes, she's incredible. And like, and I was just following what she was saying, what she was doing. And I'm not saying what she does is bad. I mean, that's
right,
her industry and it works for her.
sure,
But everybody, we're not the same.
right.
So
Go ahead.
we're all different and we all have different things. What I got frustrated with is I got to the point where I'm like, I want to learn how to eat and be fit and not have to get up every morning and badger myself and feel like crap.
Right.
And
That's
I want to enjoy my life. I don't want to be in a diet. If I go to a wedding, I want to have a couple glasses of wine and I want to have a nice dinner. If I go to a party, I don't want to sit there and be like, oh my God, I can't eat it. And I'm like, Mike, I used to bring food to places because I'm like, no, man, I'm on a diet. Like, and I'm like, forget this. I don't want to live my life like this.
no way.
I want to be able to eat what I want to eat in portions that I can determine. So when I'm sitting on Instagram at 11 o'clock at night, because I'm like so agitated. And then I see you ripped with a Dorito bowl. And I'm like, no. I'm like, sign me up.
Absolutely. And then that's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
So what we did then, and to build on what you were saying before, now, if you think about that, like you have to also, if anybody's listening here that wants to kind of understand where we're coming from, when you go to somebody that's a fitness, competitor, or they're doing this as almost their career, but your career is not a fitness competitor. It's not your life. You are a mom, you're a lawyer, and you have other aspects of your life that you still want to keep. Like you said, having a glass of wine at a wedding, like a bodybuilder, if they've got a show coming up and they got to go to a wedding, they ain't touching anything at that wedding.
Right.
That's not, I mean, if you're not coming to a stage, what's the point of restricting yourself and feeling miserable? You're going to self-sabotage. You're going to feel left out. You're going to feel lonely. And that's just kind of how it goes. And this is the mentality that needs to be broken before you can really start making any progress on the mirror or the scale. And the scale, like you said, had become an issue as well. So before we do get into like when we started working together a bit, what I do remember you having some freak out moments on the scale, maybe, but going on the scale, different scales. You were worried. I remember one day you were weighing in on different scales, different times of the day. I said, MaryAnna, you gotta, your scale weight in the morning before you eat anything is going to be completely different than your scale weight after training at night after eating 3 meals already. So, how did you kind of, where were you at with the scale? That's what I want to know. This is something that could really help a lot of people understand. If you can put that out there where you were and how you kind of maybe got away from that scale fear, or maybe you still have some and are still trying to work away from it.
You know what? It's like, God, women, we go through this. We, and I would get up in the morning and first thing I do is just go to the scale and how much do I weigh? And even if I was on a diet or not, or if I was watching what I was eating, I was not. And I would just look at the scale number and I'm like, I'm working so hard. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm just not seeing the results. And I started getting like obsessive about it because then I would weigh myself in the morning and then I would like go to the gym and then I'd come back and I'm like, well, let me see how much I weigh now. And I would get on the scale and it was just this thing that I did. And I know that this bled through when you and I started working together and you had like a powwow with me and said, stop looking at the scale. And then you started to get me to see, like, start looking at your clothes. How are your clothes fitting? How do you feel? And I'm like, okay, I'm like, all right, let me start weaning off of it. And I eventually did the best thing I ever did, because you know what I called the scale. Remember what I called the scale?
Yes, I remember this. Your bitch or so, or what was it?
No, can you swear on here?
Yeah, absolutely.
You
Hey, whatever you want. There's no rules here.
You can say it. What did I call the scale?
I'm drawing a blank. I'm not going to lie. It was something about your
F boy.
The fuck boy. That's right.
Yes.
Okay. You can swear fuck boy all you want. If you don't want to swear because you're whatever reason, I don't care. On this podcast, anything literally goes. Yes. So we wanted to tell fuck boy to go fuck off is what we wanted to do, because it was messing with your head. And we've been there before. And this isn't just something for women. This is men. They don't admit it as much, but they almost can get there too. Cause I've been there where I've woke up in the morning one day and I felt really lean. Then I jumped on the scale and the scale reading didn't correlate with how I felt. And you know what that did? That ruined my day. And then, I've had other days where I woke up feeling like shit and I went on the scale and I was lower than I thought and it helped my day. That's totally that's just the wrong way either way. That's why you can't take the scale either direction. You can't take it too hard. You can't get too excited about the reading, and you
Right.
can't get too upset about it. That's the way it goes. So how have you come? Where are you at right now with the scale at this moment?
I don't go on it. I use my
Perfect.
clothes and well, first of all, like where I am today after being with you, versus where I was when I began with you is polar opposite ends of the
Perfect.
spectrum. So, the way I live now is just, it's incredible. I'm so happy. And it's like, I'm here because I want to make sure to help people, because I have like, just not me that is on diets, so many friends that are just like, whatever they can find because they want to lose the weight and they want to do this, but it's like, it's all about a lifestyle change. And if you incorporate these little changes and allow yourself some grace and be kind to yourself through the process and realize that this is not going to happen overnight, it takes a long time, long time. So I actually, so on that Instagram post I said, Mike, I need help. I said, Mike, please put a diet together. I will pay you. And I literally, and you said, really? And I said, yeah. And I said, Mike, do it. And you did it. And we started working together. And that was July in 2018. I just saw, it was my first meal plan you did for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a Dorito bowl. It was, and I told you, remember, Mike, I love to eat chocolate chips. This is my thing. Every night I love to, that's my sweet, that's my go-to. I love dark chocolate chips. And if you think I'm nuts, great. I don't know. That's just what I love to eat. And you said, okay, if that's what you love to eat, we're going to incorporate it. And I was like, is he nuts? How can I eat this? And I'm like, am I going to eat Doritos? I'm like, I can't believe I'm about to eat Doritos. And I remember my husband, Ian, he was like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I started with Mike. And so then I started noticing changes. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like, I'm eating Doritos, I'm having wine, I'm eating my chocolate chips every night, and I'm losing weight. And I'm like, this is crazy. And I remember after I reached out to you in July, I stopped working with you that October because I got pregnant again.
Yep.
And this kid was like, I was eating healthy with it, but I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I can't. I'm like, I'm going to take a break. And you totally agreed with me. So we stopped working together that October. So we worked together for a few months, but from July to October, and I documented all this. I lost almost 50 pounds but I was working out. I was drinking tons of water, but I was following what you had given me, and I was eating. I was full. I was eating the junk I like, and everything was just beautiful and working out. So then we stopped working together. I gained again 40 pounds, almost 50, almost broke 200 again on the scale. I gave birth that next May. And I reached out to you a year later, that July in 2019. And we worked together for a year and a few months. And again, I lost that 50 pounds and I have kept it off. You and I have not worked together since October of 2020, and I am in the best shape of my life. I feel amazing. I don't look at food as the like evil person out to get you. Food and I have an amazing relationship, and I'm just incredibly thankful. And I'm so happy I nudged you to do this because I know you can help people, and people need to trust the process. And if you follow it, it works.
Absolutely.
It works.
Absolutely. And then I think one mindset flip you made that maybe you're not even aware of, and a lot of people have this, is that they have this thought process that eating something that's not considered healthy, whatever that is, a processed food. I believe that people think that this food is causing fat gain the minute it touches their tongue.
Yes.
That's the problem there. Because yeah. And they don't realize that you actually have some leeway here with food as we balance it out. Yes, MaryAnna's here is talking about Doritos and chocolate. That's all on the plan, but she's also eating well too. We have grilled chicken, vegetables, things like that still factored in, because this is about being healthy as well. And I think a lot of coaches, they are a little afraid maybe to go ahead and put Doritos, or a Snickers ice cream bar was something you had a lot too. I tell a lot of people who come and
yes, my God, I forgot about that.
And I tell a lot of people who work with me, obviously anonymously, because I don't discuss clients personally, but I do use you as an anonymous reference, that I had a client that would have a Snickers ice cream bar every single night. She lost 40, 50 pounds. And again, and keep in mind, when she's saying 40, 50 pounds, it includes water weight and we're almost fat. But what we want to know is what I want everyone to know out there is I'm just not helping her lose as much weight as possible in a short amount of time. I'm helping her keep her muscle mass on her body, promote strength training. Her meal plans that I'd created for her, this is a dual thing. She would tell me what she wanted to eat. I would put it together for her and say, okay, here's how it fits. And then it has your protein target hit as well. So that's going to, with your strength training, that's going to preserve that muscle mass around your body to keep that fit shape. Because all these people will come to me and say, I want to be toned. It's the biggest word that doesn't exist. There's no such thing as toning. Doesn't exist. It's fake. Yeah. What happens is you have muscle mass on your body, you go into a calorie surplus, you build it, you lose it, you go back and forth like that. That's just the way it goes. So we also stuck with that so that you didn't come out of this thing at the end like the scale looked good, but then you looked in the mirror and you're like, I'm skinny fat. What happened? Where's my muscle mass? We didn't want to do any of that. So you really kept that together on that end. So that's another thing that was really good. So.
And the thing you hit the nail on the head about why I just feel like you just set me up for success is because you didn't come to me with your choices of food. You said, okay, Mare, what do you like to eat? And put everything down that you love to eat. And then you would just boom, 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 put my macros together. And I'm like, okay. And you just gave me it. And it worked. And I loved it. And I would sit down and I would look forward to making my Dorito bowl. I love my freaking Dorito bowl.
I'm eating a double-decker taco bowl this week for me.
I mean, come on. And it's like, so now it's like, and that's the thing is like, you need, when somebody is lost, they want somebody that's going to listen to them and it's going to set them up for success. And that's why I nudged you to do this, because this is something that you do and you do it well and you incorporate what the client likes. And that's what I loved about it. And since 2020 leaving you, I have been able, I drink a glass of wine when I go to a wedding. I eat pizza. I love pizza. In fact, we get it like once a week.
Right.
I eat, but I love my salads. I love my salads, but that's what I love to eat. And it's like, you have to incorporate what you love, but you get to a point where you're like, I'm not weighing my food. I haven't weighed my food since 2020 because you had weighing my food, because in order for somebody to understand what portions look like and what you should be consuming, okay, you need to be weighing your food. So I look at something and I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good size portion for me. And that's what I'm going to have. And sometimes my body might be asking for more and I give it more, and it's okay. And that's like the whole point is like, you're not going to spend your whole life weighing your food. That's ridiculous. I did keto. Okay. Oh my God. Let me tell you my keto story real quick.
Go for it, please.
Ian and I did keto. So Ian's like, yeah, I'm going to do keto. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do keto too. And this was like right after, God, we were dating at the time. Okay. So, we were going on a trip. That's right. We were going to Dominican Republic and we're both like trying to get in shape. So Ian's like, let's do keto. I'm like, all right, let's do keto. I'm like, what do you eat on keto? He's like, burgers, cheese, avocados. I'm like, all right, sign me up. I love that stuff. So Ian and I we're eating the same stuff. I have no clue what portion sizes I should be eating. What the hell? I just saw Ian eating 2 cheeseburgers and avocados and just massive amounts of like keto stuff. And we bought the keto bars, the chocolate keto bars. And I'm like, oh, it's keto. So I was just eating, right? Ian lost weight. He was ripped. I gained about 10 pounds.
Oh,
okay.
Wow. Yeah,
and it was like a week before vacation, Mike. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Mm-hmm. Where am I going to go now? I'm like, I was so mad. And then I told him, like, we're not doing keto anymore.
I don't blame you, man. And keto is really nothing more, in my opinion, than just another low carb fad diet. And the thing is that that's what attracts you when you're looking at that diet. You can see the avocados, the cheese, the meat and all that. Ooh, that looks great. I can eat that. But you know what? You can't eat the carbs. You're still restricting something that you're going to eat. You can't eat pasta. You can't eat pizza. You're not going to eat fruit. Right. I think they restrict fruit. This is nonsense. And it's just another thing. It's like, and when you said, let's do keto, I would encourage everybody out there. If a diet exists, if there is a plan out there and you're going to it to try to take it and put it into your life, that's going to be probably a setup for failure, in my opinion, because what we do here and what MaryAnn did, we created something for her. We start with the person. We do what works for you. These fad diets are dependent. They are square holes, round pegs, and not everybody fits. So you have to fit your own. And that's exactly what you'd said here, trying these diets out and coming to this conclusion that, this frustration, like I've had enough here, and I like how you always say you nudged me into this, but you really pretty much fucking forced me into it. And I'm glad you did, because you were very adamant about me doing those plans for you. So as you sort of got that frustration with keto and kind of continued on a little bit there, what did you do? Obviously, now you're talking about going through the plans with me. What MaryAnna did was she would do my usual process. You have to have a starting point. We did meal plans. You don't have to go off of a meal plan. I also helped clients say, hey, if you don't go by the meal plan the whole way, that's fine. So what really had to happen for you, and what you're really demonstrating here, is a mind shift, basically, because you got yourself acclimated to eating a way you want to eat, and you got rid of that guilt feeling that, oh, if I eat this, I'm going to get fat. If I don't eat perfectly on the diet, I'm going to be fat. If this isn't going to work. So it's all that rigid mindset that's been drilled into everybody for these diets, by these bodybuilders, by these companies, by these diet programs. These diet programs are just
Mike, let's talk about protein shakes for a second. I was drinking 2 protein shakes a day, empty calories in my opinion, because I was starving.
Yeah.
Okay. I probably didn't eat enough when I was doing any diet or eating on my own before I met you. I wasn't eating enough. And that could be a huge factor in a problem in your weight loss journey. And research on these protein shakes, and I'm like, these aren't FDA approved. So who the hell knows what they're putting in them? And I'm like, I'm like, I don't want to do that. And I remember that I specifically told you, I'm like, Mike, I don't want to do protein shakes. And what I loved what you said is, like, you should be getting your protein from food. You shouldn't be getting it from shakes. So for some people, it can help them, the shakes. But for me, I just didn't want shakes. Sure, I don't want it. And I know my husband, he likes to drink the shakes, and when he goes and works out, great, that works for you. It's like, it's not cookie cutter.
No.
Everybody, like, look at Ian and I in the keto. We both ate the same thing. And I gained weight and he looked ripped. He looked incredible.
Right, exactly. And just to hammer it down real quick with the shakes, that's exactly what and you're not the first. Well, you were the first, but I mean, people have said that to me. I don't want any sort of, one second here. I don't want any sort of protein shake on my plan. And I'm like, you don't have to have them. Don't worry about what they say. You can have protein shakes if you want them. The only thing they're really good for is to hit your protein target, and you kind of have to just have something fast to chug down just to hit that goal. But if you don't like them, you don't eat them. You don't drink them. That's it.
I was using it as a meal.
Yeah,
when I did the fitness model diet, one of my meals was a protein shake and 10 almonds.
A shake is not a meal, in my opinion. Unless you're going to load it up with calories and it fills you up and it's satiating. If you put vegetables, fruits, peanut butter or something in it, things like that could be a meal. But you don't need protein shakes. They've sold the hell out of people with protein shakes. There's so many myths around it that, like, it hits the bloodstream faster and you need to have 3 a day because it's 30 grams and that's how your body assimilates protein. It's all bullshit. They've told me to have. I fell for it. I had casein protein once. I was starting to take casein protein at night, and all that happened was I would wake up in the middle of the night, disrupt my sleep, and take a piss because I was drinking a large ass shake before bed. So I said, this is stupid, and I don't need this. And I only use protein powder, to be honest with you, in a pinch, or I do like it in oatmeal, and that's about it. So that, and then, like, a shake as a meal is a diet fad. It's like a Jenny Craig thing. It's like, who wants to? I mean, remember that commercial? A shake for breakfast, a shake for lunch, and a sensible dinner. No thanks. No thanks.
No.
So,
it's just crazy. It's being uneducated, and it's like, having somebody like you totally care. I'm 40. I'm going to be 41 in March. I have a 3 and a 4-year-old. I'm an attorney. I work. I'm a mom. I get it. I understand how people feel because I'm in the same boat as you, and I get how it is. And you're rushing home. You got to make a meal. And, I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm in better shape now than I was in high school.
Right. And the reason why you're like that is not just, I don't want to, it's your mindset. It's your dedication to it. That's the reason why. It's your brain that has accepted your life. It's accepted the way to eat. And that's the sustainability part. That's why we haven't worked together since October of 2020. So we're going on 2.5 years or so. Yeah. A little over 2 years. And that's one of the big things I wanted to ask you, because we've kind of touched on where you were before. We kind of saw, the process is what it is when you're working with me. We were doing meal plans. I was kind of talking you into how to do restaurants, how to eat a little bit off the plan, not to not to beat yourself up, just keep going. So what I wanted to ask you is, now going forward, what from there, like, how did you take yourself away? Because I tell clients, I said, this is the ideal way to go. You want to be off meal plans, off the scale. That's the right way to go, and love your body as it is. So that's is exactly where you're at right now. So what did you do to kind of ease off of the meal plans, ease off of the scale, both scales, food and the bathroom scale? What have you done, and how did you go about that? What was it like to make that leap? How did that feel?
Well, first of all, I'm going to start off by saying, if anybody is looking into, hiring you and really making this change, they have to come in with the appropriate mindset. So if you're going to come in this mindset, because I know I have referred you out to so many people, like like when they saw my picture of like my journey and how I looked and how amazing I did, I know I sent you people from East Coast, West Coast, from here, like people are like, holy cow, sign me up. So, but here's the thing. I know people that have signed up with you that stopped with you and have subsequently gained back all the weight.
Right.
They saw you as a short-term fix. And I want people to know that if you're going to make that, first of all, you are an investment, and it all begins with loving yourself. So you need to find a place within your mind and say, okay, you know what? I'm worth it. I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want to be like this. I'm so tired of hearing people like, I'm 40, I'm old, my body's changing, I'm disgusting. That's BS. Okay. I feel like I'm in my prime. I feel incredible. I love yoga. I've totally changed. I feel like I'm 20 something years old. It's all mentality, but you have to come into this with a proper mindset. Don't come into this with short term. You have to come here with a long-term mentality and say, okay, you know what? I know my value. I know my worth. I am worth it. And yes, life is happening. I have kids. I have a husband. I have a career. My life is chaotic. I don't know what the hell to make for dinner tonight. I'm waking up. I'm late. I have business meetings. I can't concentrate. I get it. I totally get it. But you have to come to a place where you're like, you know what? I love myself. I want to make sure that I take care of me, because if you are not well and you have a family or whatever you're doing in your life, then nobody else is going to be well, and you're going to be in a toxic place in your life, and you don't deserve that, because we have one life to live. So here's what I'm going to say is that if you take this journey, you have to, first of all, understand that you're about to go through something with yourself. You're going to get to know yourself even better. And what you're going to do is you're going to start talking to yourself and making those lifestyle changes to be a better you. Because when you feel better about yourself, there is this like incredible aura that surrounds you. And when you feel like shit about yourself, people can see it, and you emit that. So it comes down to starting this journey with that type of mentality.
That's amazing how you just laid that out there. That is perfect.
But it's true, Mike, because I know people that started with you. They took your stuff for 4 months. They followed you. They lost all this weight.
Yes.
And then guess what? I see them later and they put it back on. And I go, okay, you don't have the right mindset. You saw Mike as a short-term fix.
Right.
And it's an investment. You're paying money. So it's like, why do the yo-yo thing? It's for what? Like, let's make that shift.
It's definitely true. And does happen. And that you can only do, as a coach on my end, you can only go so far. You can only take it so far. And you have to look at another mindset people seem to have is that they throw money at something and they think that the results are going to come because they've paid for it. No. Unfortunately, that is not how this works. It's impossible to do that unless you're going to pay for some sort of surgery or something like that to change your body. Like, it doesn't work that way. You're paying for the information for the change. So if you kind of come to it, if you're going to go like diet hopping, I call it, the people go to different things. They go to keto, they go to Atkins, they go to carnivore, they go to vegan. They just keep diet hopping thinking something's going to click. It's not. What you're doing is just literally going to different places that are already set that aren't for you. And you're essentially failing each time because it's not for you. And so what I do is help people find what's for them. And the problem is I can put all this, you have to have the right mindset, like you'd said, and we have to have that whole like for you mentality. You can't have something like that's like temporary. You can't go into it temporary. It has to be lifelong. And I try to hammer that home and change that all up and have that be like that. So I do know we might be having a couple in and out issues here on our feed, but that's all right. We're just going to keep powering through. So the way you did lay that out is really good. So I wanted to continue with that though. So today, at this point, you're kind of doing your own thing and you're just winging it and you're in great shape and you've kind of just are just progressing right on through. Is that correct?
That's totally correct. It's
That's
totally
perfect.
correct. So I I definitely work out. I'm into yoga now. I got certified in yoga because I love it so much. And you know, I love when people say yoga is like, oh, I need to go do yoga because I got to stretch, or like I can't bend to my toes. And and I'm like, give me a break. You know, yoga is, you go deeper than that, but that's a whole other podcast.
Oh yeah.
But my mantra is this: you need to know your self-worth, you need to know your value, and you need to put yourself first and foremost. Think about
100%.
when you board an airplane and you have kids, what do they say to you? They say, if those masks come down, you put your mask on first and then you put it on the child, or then you help others. So you have to be there for yourself first. You are your biggest fan. You are the person that has to lean on yourself the most. And what I realized in my whole life is that for a long time, I criticized myself the worst. People saw the best in me, but I didn't see the best in me. And you have to see the best in yourself. So when you make the decision in your life to make a lifestyle change and you really put it in your mind, you have to start having conversations with yourself. So if you're in a situation where you go to a wedding or whatever, and you started with Mike and you're sitting there contemplating, okay, you know, if I eat this, whatever, well, you know, hey, there's a sweet. I want to eat the sweet. Okay, well, great. Have the sweet, but maybe eat half of it or eat a quarter of it. And then you got your fix and move on with your life.
Right.
You don't
And most of all, don't feel bad about it. That's what sends
That's
people into
right.
that's what sends people into that downward spiral of, and that's what's bad about diet culture and diet mentality. And that's what I try to hammer in, is that just because maybe you had a bad day or you had a bad moment, a bad meal, a bad bite of something, that didn't end your thing. You what you have to do is almost go 80-20 on it, like follow something for 80% of the way, and then use that other 20% to sort of like keep you going, to keep you active. Like I would rather see somebody lose the same amount of weight in a year versus 3 months going hardcore strict, because what's the trade-off? You kept your life intact. You had fun at the wedding. You went on that vacation and you were good. You ate your food. You got pizza with your family on a Sunday night. Like, that's all. Like, think about that. You have to, like, oh, I could have lost more if I didn't have that pizza. But you know what? You lost weight and you had the pizza and you spent time with your family. Now that's what we're going for here. And that's where you want to be. That's where most people need to be, I think.
Yeah. And it's like you get to a point where you're like, I have one life to live. And if I'm going to be waking up every day and badgering myself on how crappy I look and the fact that I can't lose weight and just badger yourself and just be negative on yourself, then you're not going to get to the point where you want to get. You have to start loving yourself and just be allowing yourself grace. That was like the my vocabulary. You have to understand you're not going to sign up. You're not going to get this meal plan and you're going to lose weight in a month and be in the best shape in your life. No, it takes time. I remember there was a 3-month period, Mike, where the scale didn't move. My pants didn't move. I was like, Mike, what's happening? And he told me, you're like, you got to be patient. It's time. Your body takes time to accumulate to the new lifestyle because it's so used to being treated in a certain way. And I remember I was so frustrated and I kept texting you and you kept texting me back. You're like, just don't worry. You have to give it time. You have to chill. And you know what? Eventually, yes. Since taking yoga, my body has changed. I've been doing yoga now for almost 3.5 years. My body's still transforming and it's incredible. It's incredible. So you have to just be patient and understand that when you're looking to lose weight and make it a permanent change, you have to start talking to yourself in a different way. You have to be nice to yourself.
Yeah, you won't get anywhere for self-hate. That's actually a huge thing. And anyone that knows anything about the fitness way will tell you that you have to love yourself to do this, because if you hate yourself, you're going to sabotage it with what exactly it doesn't need, which is sometimes food, alcohol, drugs, whatever else that is. And a lot of times, you said, we used meal plans, and I was talking about that last time, and that worked out really well for you. And the good thing is it worked for you because you were able to transition away from it. I will also take a client in and say, you know what? And I think this is even just as effective, if not more. I want these people to eat as they were and track your food. And then I look at it and then I can adjust from there. Problem is, And this is the problem, because people are impatient, they're paying money, and they want results right away. So you run into that problem of, hey, do you want to do this the right way and learn your habits and learn why it's like this so that you can go forever here? You might have to work with me a little bit longer this way, but and then I have to have people think, oh, is this guy scamming me? Is this guy just out for money? I'm not guaranteed. I tell the people straight up, no, I'm not going to sit here and guarantee you X amount of, go to another already existing program that you're going to pay a bunch of money for to have shakes and prepped meals delivered to your home, which is nonsense. Optavia or whatever these meal prep things that get sent to you.
Oh my God. Those are ridiculous.
They're gross. They don't taste good. And you're not, are you going to keep it up? Honestly, you just got to ask yourself, are you going to keep this up forever? No, you're going to make the best way to go is prep your own food, make your own food, eat out only once a week, twice a week, maybe make good choices, change it up, aim for balance at restaurants. And that's just what it is. And then you just have to take it in the long term. That's the way that goes. So I do know we're running a bit long here, and I know we wanted to touch on your yoga. We're not going to close it up just yet because I want you to close this up with whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
I do think that what you said before, we'll just do a separate episode with you and your yoga journey, because I know you got so ingrained. I want to learn more about it. I know that other people can benefit from hearing that more in depth, and I think there is a lot of benefit to yoga. I was just always resistant to it my whole life, just didn't think it was for me. But now I've made some mental changes myself, and I'm growing in a way. So I'd like to hear more about it. So I, as opposed to add on here where we're kind of talking about this diet lifestyle change process, I'm going to go ahead and have you. We're going to do this again and make it on yoga. So
I love that.
To kind of, because I know you're a busy person, like we said, I got your own law firm and all, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But I just want to know, like, anything else you want to add here? Your view on fad diets, what you would say to women in particular who might be frustrated right now. Anything else you want to add? I know you put some good info out there already, but anything else you want to put out there before we close up?
I just want anybody that's listening to this, that's in a place where they feel stuck and just agitated and aggravated, and they're not seeing the results, and they're, I can speak to like moms and I get it. And it's like, we always feel like, we're last, and, even fathers, even dads, like, who are raising the kids and just helping, like, especially if you have little kids, I get it. It is chaotic. It is frustrating. Your patience is tested. You have to be on board with the whole family in terms of food, because if one family member doesn't want to eat healthy and you're sitting there and accommodating everybody, and now all of a sudden you're becoming a restaurant, that can be frustrating too. So I understand how you feel. I've been in your shoes where I've tried everything and I didn't get the results I wanted. And throughout the whole process, I was just being so mean to myself. You have to start first and foremost with understanding that you are worthy, you are valuable, and you have to allow yourself grace and a chance to go on this journey. And this is going to be a journey with yourself. And what I tell you is, if you start this with Mike, just listen to what Mike is telling you. He knows his stuff and he coaches you and pushes you. And you have to understand, nothing in life that is worth having happens overnight. And I know this is a cliche, but Rome was not built in one night. And it's true. It took me over a year to get to where I wanted to be, and I stuck through it, but I enjoyed it because I was eating my chocolate chips every night, and I was eating my Snickers ice cream, and I was eating my Dorito bowl, and I loved it.
It's the process. It's the process. You have to be process oriented in your brain, not result. If you're focused on the result, it's going to probably lead to failure, quitting, and frustration, because the result you want is now. You want the result now. Everybody wants the result now, even though they know it's not attainable. In their logical brain, they're going to say that I want that result now, but they know in themselves that that they're not going to get it. They might believe it quietly that they think they will, but it's not going to happen overnight. It does not work that way.
It's not.
You have to get excited first about the process before the results, because that's just the way it goes. You have to be like, okay, I can eat this food. Like, kind of like how you were saying, oh, I get Doritos, I get this, I get that. But, you're feeding yourself with those foods you enjoy that kept you going. But underneath all of that, you also had the good stuff, the right protein sources.
I did.
We had good carbs. We had good fats. We had all that other stuff in there too. And we just stuck, and we actually raised your calories from where you were when you started. Because the old MyFitnessPal wants to start women off at 1,200 calories, which is the bottom of the barrel calorically for females. It's literally the lowest you can go in a healthy way is 1,200, and 1,200 for about 90% of women is unhealthy. So
and I know I wasn't eating enough. I know it.
under eating definitely will do that. It slows down that fat burning. It deteriorates your muscle, which slows the metabolism down, and it reduces your shape. So you got to eat more, believe it or not. So you have to just come to this balance, this thread. And the reason why all these diet fads eliminate a macro, like I've been saying before, in the 80s and 90s, they took away fat. Then turn of the century, millennium, they took away carbs. Now you've got veganism making a run here a little bit differently, but you know what? If people are already protein deficient, and I don't care if you want to be a vegan, that's fine. You could be very healthy in this way and hit your targets and all that. But I'm just saying that if you start removing meat and dairy and eggs from your diet, those are some of the best protein sources you can eat. So now we're looking at like people trying to remove more ways of getting protein into their day. Regardless of how you feel about veganism, that's just what's happening. There's ways around it, but it's going to be trickier. So my point is that we found a way for you to kind of just progress, be excited about the process, take it, run with it. And here we are 5 years later, almost from when we started, 3 years from almost 3 years, 2.5 years from when we stopped working together. And now you kind of been that ideal story to tell of who was frustrated, came, worked with me, even went through a pregnancy and came out the other end and in the best shape of their life, doing it on their own, no scales, and no
regrets.
It's great.
And I eat what I want. I do what I want. And I don't beat myself up for it, because it's, if let's say I go somewhere on a Saturday night and I eat like pizza, whatever, then you know what? During the week, I say, hey, okay, I ate too many calories on Saturday. So you know what? I'm going to have a little bit more of the greens this week, right? Yeah.
Or you eat a little less, or whatever it is.
Or eat a little less. And you know what? You have to have a conversation. You have to talk to yourself. You have to become your own best friend. You have to talk to yourself, and you have to just build a relationship with yourself first and foremost, and put yourself first, and understand that you can attain anything you want. You just have to be kind. You have to be patient, and you have to allow yourself grace. You will mess up. Mike cannot sit here and just monitor you the entire time. At the end of the day what you're eating. You are responsible for yourself. You are an adult. Right. And that's what it comes down to. And you can reap the benefits. You reap what you sow. You stick with this, I guarantee that you will see an incredible result.
Absolutely. It's you versus you, your coach, your trainer, and anybody else. They're safety nets, they're aids, they're helpful. They're going to lift that baggage for you a little bit along the way. But it also, and that's how I speak to clients too. When we're working on it, I say us, I say we're doing that. But when they succeed and they do something, I change the way I speak to you. You did that. You did this. They did, because they did. I helped you. We're working on it together, but you did it. That's the way it goes. And that's the best way to talk.
I had so many freak out moments, and I text you and you walked me right through it. So yes, you will freak out. Yes, you will mess up. Yes, you will badger yourself, but that's the whole process of unlearning a learned behavior.
Yes. And it's a very, very much unlearning is a lot of it based on what we've been given. And it really is disheartening because we're not given the good information. We're giving information that's going to generate profit from most mainstream diet sources. And then on top of that, like I said, to start off the show a little bit, we have the food corporations just busting out the processed crap and the quick service meals and the McDonald's and all this shit that's just flooding our way. And we kind of just take it as a norm and think that this is the way we have to live. And a lot of people are going to look at you like you might be weird because you're not doing what everybody else is doing. And we're not doing what everybody else is doing because we don't want to be like everybody else who's succumbing to this. It's not, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist and say this is a plot against us, but it's just kind of how life evolved as we go for conveniences and profits and things like that. And that's just where we ended up. And it's frustrating. So that's what I try to go against. It's hard. It's not easy. It's not easy for me. It's not easy for you, but we did it and we're doing it. So that's what's good. Now,
I'm so glad I pushed you.
Oh, I'm happy as hell. And I'm grateful for you all the time. That nudge, that push, that basically, quitting you to tell me to help you 5 years ago was instrumental. So I thank you and I appreciate that greatly.
And I want to leave your viewers with this. I used to be the person who would go and I'm like, okay, I need new clothes. And I'd go into the fitting room and I'm just like, just badger myself. And it's like, I didn't look forward to it. And I would not doing it. But I'm at the point in my life now, and even years after working with you, to a point where I look forward to going and trying on new clothes and seeing how they fit and they look. So if anybody is discouraged that's listening to this, I just please take time, do some self-reflection. Where are you in your life? Even amidst the chaos and everything going on, take some moments to just consider, like, what is it that you're seeking in your life? What kind of life are you looking to fulfill and to have? Take some time, write it down. And you know what? Reach out to Mike and just have a consult and see if it's something that you guys are on the same page. But when you meet Mike, you have to be at that point in your life where you are ready to make a permanent change and undo everything that you have learned and learn new things. And it takes time.
Absolutely. And I do that. I do consults. I call it like just a upfront phone call with anyone that wants to consider working with me. There's zero charge for that. I would happy to have that call. That's not a sales pitch either. I don't do salesy shit with this. I don't want to. If I have to, I will, but I don't want to sell you on anything. I just want to explain it to you, give you the clarity you need to move forward. I understand you better. There's a better comfort feel to getting started up when you understand and do that. So I do appreciate you saying that out there. So with that said, I did want to ask you one last thing, because I wanted to congratulate you before we close it up here, because you did open your own law firm, correct?
I did.
Congrats.
Thank you. I'm doing estate planning, and I'm trying to gear it towards young families with kids. Another aspect where people are just our ages are uneducated on. And, you know, there's this like social norm that you need to get your estate planning done when you're retired. And that's not true, you know, especially if you have little kids. So yes, I opened it with a 3 and a 4-year-old. And, you know, sometimes I used to be the person when I got stressed, I would just like eat it all. And you know, I haven't gained weight through the process either. So I've been able to maintain that. So yes, I've opened my own law firm. It's really exciting. But like with everything new, it's scary, right? So for those people that go through their weight loss journey and their permanent lifestyle change, it's scary, it's new, but it's like, you gotta lean in to the unknown.
And that's exactly right. And then, you know, it's probably, I would be guessing there's a lot of stress and things involved in opening a business of any sort, especially a law firm. So to have your food kind of under control during that is huge, because you don't want to go through this whole process of something exciting, of putting your law firm together and then coming out at the end and having to go lose 80 pounds because
oh my God,
stay through the whole thing. So that's good. So like real quick, I'm going to put it in the show notes, but what's a good place for you to be reached if anyone is in need of a estate lawyer?
If they are, you can reach me on my Instagram. It's MaryAnna, and I think you'll put it in the bio, MaryAnna _Callas _law. You can find me on Facebook, MaryAnna Callas Law. And you know, Mike, if there's anybody that also just wants to know more about my journey, like you can DM me, whatever. I believe in your vision, Mike, and I am proof that it works, and I want people to win and I want people to succeed. So, you know, it's just helping and being a source of referral and education for people. So yeah, I appreciate it. And, I really enjoyed talking to you. It's been a while, but I'm proud of you, and I really want people to understand that if you know, Mike will do his side of the job, and it's like, you got to do your end, and you will reap the rewards.
Perfect. Perfectly stated. And that's exactly how it goes. So yes, no, thank you so much for doing this with me. I know we've been wanting to do this for quite some time. I'm ecstatic about it. So I am going to close it up. We have gone almost an hour here, which is awesome. So see how we could just kind of keep going with this stuff. Again, and MaryAnn's not lip service. If you have anything to talk to her about her process, sometimes it is easier to talk to a female, if you are a female, about the process than talking to a man about it, who you know, someone who's gone through certain things like pregnancies and such. Reach out to her. She's such a helpful person, has a great mindset on it. So, and if you did want to talk to me, you still can. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn at MFS Wellness, and on email, old school email, mike@mfswellness.com. Okay. So I am Mike. This has been MaryAnn, and I appreciate the listeners. We will talk to you on the next episode.